Hello, how are you doing? Welcome along to FTUK's weekly catch-up live stream. It is Friday, the 30th of May, 2025. At the end of the month already. Goodness me, where has the year gone? Wow, nearly June. June is just around the corner. Hope you've had a good week, whatever you've been trading in the markets, and everything is well with you. Donald Trump not necessarily getting his way now with the tariffs. The markets like that one, didn't they? And that's the kind of volatility that you need as a trader. The connection of the technicals and the fundamentals all comes together in one place. Yeah, really good to see. Before we get into today's content, obviously, please do go and subscribe to our Discord channel. Speak to Reza over there, and that's the best place to find out all of the latest stuff that's happening at FTUK. And of course, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And there's a really good reason for subscribing to the YouTube channel today, because I want to talk about one of the quiz things that we've been doing, which are growing in popularity. And it highlighted a topic, and I thought, I've got to talk about this in the live stream. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be discussing central banks and their key players. Now, just stay with me on this, because I'm kind of quite passionate about this stuff. And it's important as a trader, you need to know this kind of stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to convince you as to the reasons as to why, and it's all connected to do with the quizzes. And also as well, we're going to discuss an interesting topic to do with where you are in your prop trading journey, whether you are a beginner, whether you're advanced, you've been doing it a long time. I think it's an interesting reflective topic, and can you tune your account, your account choices? Does that say anything about you, where you are in your journey? I think it does. And of course, we've got an amazing, absolutely amazing weekend offer for you as well, so we will touch on that at the very, very end. So let's first discuss this. So this is the quizzes that we've got. Now, we did this was a poll that we did the other day, so there's no a direct answer on this. But it did, when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's really interesting. Now, it's a little bit, to be honest with you, it's actually just a little bit of fun. But it does highlight an interesting topic, which I think we could maybe discuss slightly. So this is the question that was on the website, on the YouTube channel. Which of these buildings is not a major central bank? So there's 332 people voted on this, which is quite a lot, which is certainly quite a lot. And presume that they're all kind of either interested in economics, interested in trading, they're prop traders themselves, maybe they're customers of FTUK. But pretty much everybody got it wrong. Now, it's a little bit cryptic because they are just buildings, and you don't have to know what the buildings are to be a successful trader. But the fact that most people got it wrong, I thought, that's something that we could maybe look at in some detail. So you'll see the top one there, 27% of people thought that was not a major central bank. Well, actually, it is. That's the Bank of Japan. That is the Bank of Japan, the building for the Bank of Japan. The second one, this is the one that people, the least amount of people thought was not a central bank. This is actually the New York Stock Exchange. The picture's a little bit tight, and it is small, particularly if you're looking at it on a phone, but that is not a central bank. So that's actually the right answer, and most people got that wrong. But this is the really worrying thing, that most people thought that the Federal Reserve was not a central bank. And that's the thing that I thought, surely everybody, not everyone's going to recognize the Bank of Japan, obviously, but surely everybody would recognize the Federal Reserve, right? I mean, it is the most important central bank, and it's on the TV all the time. Everyone should know that kind of thing. So yeah, most people didn't. So over half, so over 150 people voted for the Federal Reserve not being a central bank. Okay, right. So I thought about that overnight, and I thought, okay, we're going to go through this in detail so that no one can then say from this point on that we haven't shown everybody all of these basics. So I thought it'd be quite fun to just do a very, very quick sweep round of the central banks so you know what they look like, and then also who is in charge of these central banks, because that's probably more important, because these characters, these are the things that move markets. They really, really are. So let's start with the big gun. This is the main one. Obviously, everyone should know this. That's the Federal Reserve there on the left-hand side, the biggest central bank in the world, or the biggest economy, and everyone should recognize that guy. I mean, there's so many memes made out of Jerome Powell. It's ridiculous. He's been there a while. You know, I've seen quite a few central bankers from Alan Greenspan up to Ben Bernanke, and yeah, there's been a few. But Jerome Powell, I like him as a central banker. I think he does a very good job. I know he's not very popular with Donald Trump, but yeah, everyone should know who he is. Why? Because when he speaks, the markets move. FOMC, all of that stuff. But yeah, you should recognize that. That is something that everyone should be able to get right. So with that in mind, let's look around at some of the other major ones. We'll just do the big ones, so that everyone is definitely been left in the loop. Now, Christine Lagarde, everyone should recognize her, former head of the IMF. I think she was the French finance minister as well at some point as well. Immensely accomplished in economics and you know, at that real pointy end. And she is now the current governor of the European Central Bank. The building itself, I don't know, it's kind of like quite industrial looking, but they do help you out because they have got a nice symbol of the euro outside. So even if you were walking past, you would know that it was the European Central Bank in Frankfurt. So yeah, that is looks very, 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 very different from the Federal Reserve. And then you get let's go back in history and go really historical, probably to one of the oldest, if not the oldest, central banks, and that's the old lady of Threadneedle Street. That is the Bank of England that you can see there on the left-hand side, and of course that is Andrew Bailey, the current governor of the Bank of England, and everybody should recognise him because when he does speak, you know, the pound can move, the gilt markets will move. So yeah, that is the Bank of England and the current governor, Andrew Bailey. Then we move on to Japan, probably one of my most interesting economic, fundamentally economic sort of like countries to study. Japan, with what's happened with the Japanese yen over the years, and some great documentaries on YouTube about the Japanese yen and what happened economically in Japan after the Second World War. And that is Ueda. He's the new, well, not new, he's been there a year or so now. He's the governor of the Bank of Japan, and that is the building that you can see there on the left-hand side. Now, we move back into Europe. This is, it used to be a guy called Thomas Jürgen at the Swiss National Bank. Of course, the Swiss National Bank was famous for pegging the Swiss franc to the euro at 120 all those years ago, and that happened in an instant, and it made a lot of people very, very rich, and it made a lot of people very, very poor in a heartbeat. And they don't do forward guidance, the SNB. They kind of do what they want the way that they want it. They're quite rebellious in that sense, and I like that. I think it makes markets more exciting, that's for sure. But they've got a new governor at the SNB, and that is Martin Schlegel, and he is the governor. I wouldn't necessarily recognize him specifically myself, but you know, having an awareness of who is leading it, if you hear his name on the news wires, it can have an impact. For sure, it can definitely have an impact. And then we move down under, with the two major ones down under. Obviously, we've got in Australia, we've got the Reserve Bank of Australia, and that's the relatively new governor, Michelle Bullock. I think she was the deputy before, deputy to Philip Lowe before he left the position. Now, that as a building, well, you wouldn't know, would you? I mean, you really wouldn't know that was the Reserve Bank of Australia if you were walking past it on the street. But I guess if you are trading the Australian dollar and you're very, very good at trading the the Australian dollar, that is an immensely interesting building. You're not going to find that boring at all. And then finally, in New Zealand, again, for some reason down, they don't really do very, very descriptive buildings, but that's a pretty boring looking building as well, and that is the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Now, they had a governor who was there for a long time. Some would say controversially, Adrian Orr. This is the new guy. He's not the full-time governor, though. He's the stand-in until they've found someone new, and that is Christian Hawkesby. So listen out for that name. That's what he looks like. You might even see his picture in the paper at some point. Who knows? Or see it online or something. But he's a guy that will obviously, his policy, when he speaks, he will influence the markets, and that can move the market. And that's really the key point I wanted to get to by sweeping around like that. Because when you look back at this, and this is a demographic, a very simple demographic of people that are selecting a building, my automatic reaction, I think out of all the quiz questions that we've done over the last few months, there's only one where the majority of people got it wrong. And this is the second time that's kind of like, most people are not getting that right. So I understand it's a bit, it's a little bit sort of like cryptic to a certain degree, but it does highlight a very interesting point. And that point is that if you are into markets and you're into your prop trading and you're into all of this, then developing that awareness of not just how you're making money in your strategy in your markets and how it's all done, and watching what everybody's doing from a P&L point of view and which prop firm is the best and all that type of stuff, having an awareness of what's driving everything underneath will always benefit you as a trader. Always, always, always benefit you as a trader. And you should eventually get to a point when you realize that just technical analysis on its own is not enough. And understanding fundamentals is the thing that I did last in my trading, and it's my biggest regret, because it makes trading and markets so much richer. It makes the whole experience so much more alive, and it gives your technical strategy and your technical analysis a massive edge when you understand the fundamentals that are happening underneath it. And this is just a very simple way of highlighting that, understanding the components in there that move these markets, because it's not just your screen. It's not just happening there on your screen. These are real live markets with real economies behind them, with real people's lives. I mean, you'll hear Jerome Powell say all the time, they don't pay attention to the markets. What they pay attention to is what is happening to the US worker, to the guy, the average guy in the street, how the economy is impacting him. And that impacts you as well, and me and everybody else, you know? So understanding this stuff, these are real physical places where real decisions are made. It benefits you in the long run. Trust me on that. So yeah, I think we'll do another couple of those on the YouTube channel over the next few weeks, and we'll do it again. We'll do some more picture things and see how good everybody is. I don't know. It's an interesting one. Right. Okay. Let's move on and let us discuss. This is an interesting topic. What stage of the prop trading journey are you at? And it is a journey. It is a journey. Nobody hits the ground running. Well, very few people hit the ground running. And usually people that just jump in and they make a lot of money straight away, there's usually an element of luck in there, because yes, you can gamble on markets if you choose to do so. But being consistent and learning your strategies and developing your edge over time and being a consistently profitable trader so you get where you want to go, that is no question, that's a journey. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to do. So the prop trading industry is now really starting to take hold and really develop, and it does a good job in allowing people to get access to markets wherever they are in their journey. Yeah, whether today's day one or you've been 5 years in. So I thought it'd be an interesting idea to look through some of the basics at the different demographics of people of where they are in their journey. Now, I would say, when I was thinking through this, I would split most prop trader groups into 4 categories. People, the beginners, intermediates, advanced, and then the real pros that have been doing it a long time. So what I was going to do is look through each of these and then figure out what they do, and then see if we could you honestly look at the accounts? Because we do have a good array of accounts at FTUK. Could you look at those accounts and actually say, well, this is the type, if you're a beginner, this is the sort of account that would suit you? Well, actually, I think that is possible. I do think it's possible. So let's look at someone who is a beginner trader, and whether in the first few weeks, in the first couple of months of doing it, Who is this person? Well, it's someone that's probably just found out about prop firms, or maybe they've done a side hustle before. They'll be heavily influenced by social media. They'll probably buy into the whole beach holiday, laptop lifestyle, Lamborghinis, that kind of stuff. That will be a main driver. And it does push people into the industry. Maybe they've got friends, online friends or real life friends that have got, a trading app on their phone. Maybe they've done some spread betting, something like that, and they've been successful. Yeah, that is very, very enticing. So the element of excitement is usually really high for this kind of a trader right at the beginning of their journey. But of course, they lack huge amounts of knowledge and they're uncertain of what to do. And that's okay. Everybody starts from zero. Everybody always starts from zero. And that is definitely not an issue at all. So what does this kind of person do? Well, from a trading point of view, when you start to break it down, my opinion is that this is a sort of person who will always gravitate towards fast time frame scalping. They'll always be in 5-minute time frames. They'll always be on 1-minute time frames. They'll always be using the maximum leverage, probably because they've not really figured out the mathematics behind margin and leverage and understanding the impact on their profit and loss. And they may not even understand position sizing and what they're actually trading. They just see gold and hit buy, and that's okay. Everybody has to get involved in it somehow. But it does push people into this idea of making money very, very quickly over a very short period of time. They'll always, as a consequence of that, they'll be looking at the market for an opportunity. They'll jump in and then they'll forget the chart and they'll just be looking at the P&L, and they'll be governed emotionally by whether that is moving up for them or against them. And then obviously you get into the whole psychological prospect theory bias of saying that they'll always hang on to losers because they can't take the loss, and then it'll move back to break even, or they'll take a small profit and then they got frustrated because it then moves up to target. All of that type of life cycle stuff. That is that kind of beginner trader, and that's okay. But interestingly enough, from a statistical point of view, these are the traders that actually stand quite a high chance of having some early success, because you can gamble on markets if you choose to do that. I mean, it's obviously not something that any prop firm is going to be advocating, and we are not looking for people that are gamblers. No prop firm is looking to do that. But if you did sort of load it all up on an on-farm pay or something like that, you can potentially be on the right side of it. But that doesn't make you an expert trader, yeah. But you can be relatively profitable. So that's where all of this kind of stuff all connects together. That is what a beginner trader will potentially be. So what's the answer? What can you recommend to someone like that? Or, well, I can only speak from an FTUK point of view because, we've got accounts at FTUK that can be tailored for all kinds of things. Now, what I would say for someone like this is, because they don't yet know what they don't yet know, one of those, is I would always focus on cost. And, you either pay for your education. Everyone pays for their education one way or the other. You're either going to pay the market or you're going to pay someone else, but everyone pays. So running down that road with that thought, I would say the best thing for someone like that is keep it relatively contained financially. Don't go for expensive, big style accounts. Number one, because you will have to go through a process of learning. Yes, you might be lucky. You may even make some money early on. But eventually you'll go through a process of struggling, as most people do, and you will blow accounts up. Everybody does, and that's fine. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the journey of learning how to trade. So what I would do, because if you can accept that, is make it easy for yourself. Keep it cheap. You don't need to throw a lot of money. And this is the thing with a lot of prop firms, particularly with FTUK. Some of our accounts are really, really good value. So what I would do is I would go for something very, very low cost, a small size of account, because most people don't come from backgrounds where they have $100,000 worth of disposable income if they wanted to open a retail brokerage account. Most people don't. So for most people that are going to get involved in markets, 10 grand is quite a lot of money. So just work with the kinds of values that you would consider to be proportionate to you as a human being, where you are in the income scale, as it were. What I would also do as well is I would say work with a static drawdown as well, because it's going to give you more room. It's less pressure. I would say that just gives you that ability to be a little bit more experimental. So therefore, a 10K two-step is just about right. It's cost effective, it's a good size, it's got a static drawdown. It's also going to keep you in check as well, because it's going to alter the rules as you go from one phase into the other. And then you may even get a payout at the end, which is a bonus, and that's great. But it's a great place to start. And that's what you need. You need a good place to actually get on board and start doing this in a way that is containable and it's not going to cause you problems. That's a beginner trader. Let's move on now and let's look at an intermediate trader. This is someone who's taken that next step forward. They're going to understand the rules. There's going to be a bit of a sort of like a experience garnered from several different prop firms. They maybe traded with one or two prop firms before, and they'll have a lot of comparisons in their mind of understanding, you know, well, you get this with this firm, you get that with that firm, you get a better drawdown limit over here, but you can scale more over there. They'll have that kind of opinion. They're probably been through different forms of technical analysis, and usually they may have probably ended up with the ITC way of viewing the market. They'll be really into order blocks and fair value gaps and that kind of thing, seeing that as, okay, well, this is the thing that works. I mean, it's debatable. There's nothing wrong with ITC techniques. It's just the way that you are seeing the price action. And if it works for you, hey, that is the right answer always. But that is a very, very popular way of viewing markets at the moment. They will have some sort of sense of structure of what a trading strategy needs to look like and how they're going to do it, but their results will be really inconsistent, and it will still feel like look. What they'll do is they'll always end up trading, passing an account and being successful and thinking, right, I've cracked it. And then the market then beats them back down again, and then, oh no, what's gone wrong now? And they'll keep trying to fix things like that. So as a consequence of that, they'll always feel like they're missing something. They're not quite sure what it is. Maybe they'll get to the point where they think, well, it's all psychology and it's mindset, but they will feel like they are missing something. So what does this person do? Well, to a large extent, it can be a bit of an ego thing for these kinds of guys, because when they blow up as well, they'll feel quite damaged by the market like that, like it's unfair, like they put the work in, so where's my reward, without actually having that humility, because they've not got there yet. And that's why it's a journey, you know. It takes time to sort of develop that kind of like understanding of how you think. So they'll be very, very heavily into the rules, and then they will maybe even blame rules as the reason why they are not succeeding, because, oh, it's not me, it's actually the rule of the prop firm, or it's not me, it's the strategy. With this strategy has is rubbish, yeah. Where they forget that they moved their stop loss, or they were overriding the rules, or removing the rules, or just changing them just to give the market a bit more room. All of that kind of stuff. They'll be really big on back testing. Now, that's not a bad thing in itself, but they'll be very heavily into now, okay, well, this is because I've been through an emotional journey and I've blown up a few times, I'm just going to remove myself completely. I'm going to go automated. I'm going to go for a strategy that has got a mathematical edge, and I'm going to find that, and I'm going to keep going and going and going with my moving averages or my Fibonacci or my indicators until I get there. So they'll be very, very heavily into back testing and the technology. They'll compare platforms and that sort of stuff. They've probably passed one or two challenges maybe, and they'll feel, so that they'll know that it's there. They've got it inside them. But as soon as they go funded, they'll feel a little bit psyched out of it, and they'll maybe struggle as a consequence of that. So how do you help that guy? What's the sort of recommended account for someone like that? Well, I'd actually say maybe like a small instant funding account, because you need to have some skin in the game, and you need to have that sense of reality. You need to have that sense of, this is a funded account. This could actually give me a payout if I get this right. That gives you added pressure. It's the whole different, you know, in retail trading circles between trading demo and paper trading and trading your own live money. They ain't the same. They really are not the same. So having some skin in the game is good for you, because you don't make, I mean, I remember speaking to one guy ages ago, this is a while ago, a good few years ago, and he'd been trading for about 10 years. And I said to him on this call, have you, you know, how many often have you blown up? How much money what do you put into your account? He said, oh no, I'm still demo trading. And when I have figured it all out, then I'll make it live. And he'd been trading for years. And I thought, oh no, that's an issue. You've got to get to a certain point where you are in the risk business, like it or not. So you're going to have to embrace that in some capacity. So it is important to feel like you've got the skin in the game. So if you're the kind of character that has got some experience, and then you feel good at passing the challenges, and as soon as you go funded, it all seems to fall apart. It's confronting that fear. So this is where an instant funding account can actually be a bonus, because you're straight in at the deep end, and they're relatively cost effective. They're not the cheapest accounts, but you may potentially get a decent payout on it if you are able to sort of make it work. But you're confronting your fear all the time, and that's really important. Or the alternative is to go for a larger one step, because you're going to sort of like benefit from scaling up a little bit in your size. You've still got a valuation process to get through, so that's not too bad. It's going to keep you in check from a risk point of view, but you've got a relative drawdown in there, which is harder. Now, some people don't like it, and I get it, but a relative drawdown is actually quite good as a training tool, and some people actually enjoy it because it forces them all the time to sort of like say, no, I can't leave this one, I've got to take the money off here, I'm going to have to do that, and I have to go back and I have to wait for the next opportunity. That relative drawdown is always keeping you in check. It's protecting you all the time. So it's not a bad thing. It is just a tool like anything else. And if you're watching this and you think, oh, I can't stand relative drawdown, they're designed to trip you up, all that kind of thing, that's okay. We've got accounts where you don't need to do that. Yeah, so you can choose how you want to work. But there are some, and I have spoken to some people that do like working with the relative drawdown. So I would say for that intermediate trader, that's the kind of account that would maybe be good for them. So that would be like a 5K instant funding account. Keep it on the funded level so that you've got some skin in the game, or maybe a 25, 50K one-step account. What about the next one? The advanced trader. Well, this is someone who is experienced, who probably doesn't really need any support, but they need good execution. They need good channels of communication with the prop firm that they're working with. They need to have that confidence and trust, and they're probably looking to build a long-term relationship with the firm as well. They'll be very, very confident with risk management, and I said this, I think, in my stream last week. That one of the good things the prop industry has done is to give a breed a generation of traders that always think risk, and it is a good thing. So this is the kind of advanced trader that will always be thinking in terms of their downside. That is a good thing. Also, part of that means that they will know where their edge is. They'll know how they're making money. It's not random. It's not just a question of drawing lines on charts and that sort of thing, or using a fancy magic indicator with a buy or sell signal. They'll understand my edge is because I'm doing this, or my edge is because I'm doing X, whatever it is. They'll also have start to have a scaling mindset as well. So they'll be looking down the road and saying, okay, well, do I really want to take profit here, or do I really want to sort of like think, okay, well, if I've done this and I know how to pass a challenge, it'd be great if I could just get a bigger account, go up up the scaling plan a little bit as well. They'll have that in their mind as well. What do you do for this kind of guy? Well, I mean, it really this sort of guy is really someone who is quite independent, and you see them when I speak to quite a lot of traders, and you do see it with them. They're not necessarily going to get involved in online debates. They don't really look at the reviews. They make their own decisions about who they're going to work with and what they feel about a prop firm. They'll be very, very good at pulling the technicals together with the fundamentals, embrace the fundamentals, as we were saying at the beginning of the live stream. You will have to eventually, if you actually stay in the industry. You can't avoid it because it's so important. But they'll do that, and they'll pull the fundamentals together with their technical strategy, and they'll use that as a complete 360-degree solution for how they're making money on a day-to-day basis. And they'll make their own decisions about stuff. They won't be swayed by online reviews and stuff like that. They are independent in everything that they do. And this is how you know that someone's really starting to get there. They may not be completely, totally profitable or where they want to get financially just yet, but they'll certainly be well on the way. What sort of account does that kind of trader want? Well, I mean, this is where it gets to be dealer's choice. It's entirely up to you how you want to work, but really you should be working with some bigger accounts. The 100K two steps are very popular for these advanced guys because it's the big size. It's very, very cost effective. Scaling program is amazing, and you've got the static drawdown. So they're bringing advanced strategies to the table, or multiple strategies, or automation and stuff like that. They demand that room on the account, and they've got full control of how they are operating in the market on a day-to-day basis. Either that, or maybe a 50K a 50K instant funding account would probably be another good choice for someone like that. And then finally, the last category what we consider probably the best of the best, the guys that are really, really sophisticated at it. They've been in the markets a long time. They've been through the mill over and over again, and they've got all of the war wounds to as proof of testament of all of the work that's gone in over the years. They'll have experience with several firms, and they'll have been around the houses, that's for sure. They'll understand the markets to a very, very deep level. They will be very, very rigid. I mean, you see it in people's choices. Beginner traders, they'll just be trading absolutely everything that moves. These sorts of guys, they kind of, well, I specialize in FX and I just specialize in indices. I just focus on metals, or I'm a crypto guy. And they will tend to sort of like zero in on one particular market. So that, they will understand all of the markets. They'll understand the depth, the prop rules to a very, very deep level, why they are selecting accounts. Will be very, very, very specific reasons. So like a lot of two-step guys at that kind of stage, they're not bothered about the two-step. They want the static drawdown. There's various different things that they're tailoring. They're really into tailoring their approach to prop trading. They're probably going to be running automation as well. They're probably quite sophisticated at doing that. They may be doing copy trading stuff as well. And they'll have multiple strategies with accounts connected all over the place. And they maybe even sort of have their own trading communities. They maybe even be mentoring junior traders as well, and sort of helping them out and stuff like that. Those are the kinds of guys that are really the serious end of the business. They'll be very, very consistent traders. They'll understand consistency scoring and how to work with it effectively so that they can handle any market condition that is thrown at them. And they'll also play the long game. They'll always be focusing on what's my target for the year, what's my target for the next 5 years, where do I want to be. The scaling is the most important thing to them. They're probably less likely to be interested in just taking, a few grand profit, something like that. They're really thinking much, much further down the road, rather than just snatching some money and then patting themselves on the back, because they've been down that road several times and they're playing a much bigger picture. How do you help this guy? Well, there's really only one choice, really, I would say, and that is from an FTUK point of view. Maybe this is different in other places. They're probably going to go for 100k two-step because of the cost, and then also because of the static drawdown, and that kind of works for them. Either that, or they're going to go for 100k instant funding account, something like that. But they're always going to be at the bigger end. Good sweet round. So where are you? Where are you in your journey? And if you disagree, then you let me know. Write in the comments, because I do like going through the comments. I mean, when people actually write, but it's good to see what other people think about this kind of stuff as well. That's kind of like my opinion on what we see in the types of traders that we get at FTUK. But maybe you feel completely differently. Maybe you are at a different stage and you disagree. If you do disagree, then just let me know. I'm kind of curious. Right, okay, let's wrap up now by discussing this. We've had some amazing offers this year, and again, we've got one here for the next 24 hours, and this is going to expire very, very quickly. So right now is the time to grab this. This is where it just gets so cost effective for people. A 50% discount, straight flash sale across every single account. There's no add-ons, nothing fancy. It's just a really good deal on the accounts, but it ends today. So you're gonna have to be quick if you want to grab this, because there will be nothing. It will not be there. It will not be there next week. Grab yourself a 50% discount. The code is May50. Just drop that in on the checkout when you get to the checkout page, and that will take 50% off the cost, and then you are good to go. Right, there we go. Another day is done. On the week in markets is done, and there was quite a lot in that live stream. I hope that was good with you, and have a good week in the markets next week. It's going to be a busy week next week, because we've got non-farm payrolls coming up on Friday. That's my favorite bit of the month. I love doing the live stream for that, so please do come and join us. We will be doing a really good giveaway in that as well, so please do come join us for non-farm payrolls next Friday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.